teaching, I said, I'm going to look for something very simple to teach today. And I just begin to look at Psalm 23. I said, I will just come here, read it and ask everybody to interpret. But little did I know that there was going to be something bigger than what I planned to do today. As I was reading, I began to ask questions. If the Lord is our shepherd, he leads us, why are there so many afflictions? Why are there so many, ups and downs in the life of a believer? So I was dealing with this question with myself, and I was looking at scriptures and searching, and then suddenly I move into Exodus chapter 33. So this is going to be our topic today. Our topic today will be His presence supersede performance. I hope we get that. His presence supersede performance. His presence supersede performance. What is his presence? Before we go there, let's look at what the text in question. We will read the book of Exodus 33, verse 1 to 15, but because I will not really want to dwell too much on the scripture, but let us look at verse 1 to 7. We'll take verse 15 in between. I read, and the Lord said unto Moses, depart and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, say, unto thy seed will I give it, and I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, for I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on him his ointment. For the Lord has said to Moses, say unto the children of Israel, ye are stiff-necked people, I will come up into thy midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ointment from thee, and I may know what to do unto thee. Let's go to verse 15. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. If thy presence go up not with me, carry us not up thence. It's a very detailed conversation with God and Moses. But the interesting thing here is that God he was not speaking to just Moses or the Israelites, in this passage. This passage cut across all walks of life. It cuts across, it speaks to religious body as an organization, as a leaders in the church, pastors, bishops, all leaders. It speaks to, members. It speaks to family. It speaks to community. It speaks to a nation. In fact, it's a combo statement that addresses everybody and individually. The key verse here says, then said Moses unto him, if your presence does not go with us, do not bring us up from here. But when you look in detail, verse 1, 2, 3, 4, God has released his blessing. He permitted them to go. He said they should go. The promise of land, the promised land has been a dream from the time of Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. These people did, they only hear about it. They did not witness it. They did not see it. So I cannot imagine a child who is inheriting the father's wealth, and the lawyer is telling him, I'm going to bring the will, of your father from the bank or in my custody to you. For so long, a time will come when these children will lose the patience. They will not be able to wait. They will want to see what their father left for them. If that illustration actually matches the scenario here. So the zeal, the eagerness, the joy of going into the promised land hang in the heart of these people. There is nothing that brings joy to couples other than the wedding day. When that day comes, it's like they are let out of the cart, out of the prison. It's a day to look up to. But this day come, and God told Moses, go with your people into the promised land. He didn't just say go, but he said, I will drive out every enemies on the way, the Jebu, or the Scythe, or the Parasite, or every enemy on the way. I will drive all of them away for you. But, and on top of that, he said, I will send an angel to go with you. I was asking myself over and over, what else did Moses want? What else did Moses want? Imagine somebody coming to meet Bishop and said, Bishop, I have a problem at home. I really need, your intervention. I really need you to step in. I really need you to help me in this situation. And then the Bishop said, okay, go. I will send one of my leaders to go home with you and solve the problem. And this person is saying, no, Bishop, if you are not going, I will remain in your house. I will not go. This is a serious business. And then I begin to dig and find out the hidden things in this passage. This is what we want to discuss tonight. So this is why I titled the topic, His Presence Supersede Performance. His presence supersede performance. In our time today, many people seek performance. They want a church where people can stand with a needle. They want a church where they can tell them the color of the pant they are wearing. They want a church where they can tell them their street numbers. These are performance. These are performance. What is happening in that place? I go to that place, my problem was solved. I go to that place, cancer was removed. I go to that place, I find a job in 24 hours. I go to that church, my bank account, I got a lot, money entered. That is performance. But in all of this, Moses said, God, I know you too well. Angel cannot replace you. Activities cannot replace you. All we need is you. If you are not going with us, don't even bother to take us from here. Therefore, we define performance as the action or process of carrying out or accomplishing any any action, task, or function. That is performance. The action or process of carrying out or accomplishing an action, task, or a function is a performance. Why a presence? Presence is defined as a person or thing that exists or is present in a place but is not seen. A presence is a person or a thing that exists or is present in a place but is not seen. Is a presence. When we look a little bit deeper into the word, these two words, presence and performance, we will find out that performance is doing God-like thing without God being involved. Performance is doing God-like thing without God being involved. Example, this Bible study. This is God-like thing without God being involved. We can gather. Is God present? Presence is also choosing God's person over his promise, his face over his hand, his intimacy over activity. When Sister Meg was praying, she asked that God would transform life. And I was wondering, who told you that is what I was looking for in the teaching today? He said, God, it should not just be a Bible study, but transform life through this meeting. That is what? Presence over performance. If I end up speaking in tongues using every Hebrew word, I did not want to just bring that in today. I have them here. I wanted to define the Hebrew word for presence and the other things, but let me skip that. Everything I do here, if God is not involved, it is simply performance. If we live here without you gaining anything, it is performance. If lives are not transformed, it is performance. And Moses said, God, I do not want a performance exercise, but I really need your person. I need your person. So what we see in nowadays is that songs, preaching, prayer are powerful, but were lives transformed? I like, over the week, there was this song that is shaking the internet. I have decided I don't have any problem with that song. I love the song. It is one of my favorite old songs. And while I was preparing this message, that message came, or that song came into my mind. And I now begin to look at it from the basis of presence and performance. The youth, in fact, it takes the youth unaware. That song is making earthquake. It's making waves. It's attracting the youth like magnet. And then the question is this: is God present? Is this just a song of performance? How many lives are transformed through that song? How many lives How many people who sang that song really decided not to turn back? Are there people still in sin, singing that song and never to turn back? If there are, that is a song of performance, not a song of presence. Because when God is involved, no lips that sing that song will go back to taste sin again. When God is involved, lives will be transformed. Life will be changed. It shouldn't just be a song of feel good. You will feel the presence of God. You will see people break down in tears. You will see people surrendering, sin without being forced. That is when we feel His presence. Performance can be great. I tell you, Akabama can sing that song and the same wave will be made. But where is the result? Where is the presence? Where is His face? We seek the hand of God every time. We want to see the hand of God. Who has ever prayed, God, we want to see your face? The face illuminates, the face brighten, the face shine. And so when Moses was confronted, Moses said, no, God, I am not ready to play this game. If you cannot go with us, don't take us. So let's quickly look at the 7 blind spots of the church today. What the church aren't seeing. The 7 blind spots. In today, one of the major blind spots is that we value movement over meaning. We want to move, but we don't know the reason, the purpose for our moving. Israel wanted the promised land, but Moses wanted the promiser. Because the promised land has been the dream of many generations. If there's anything anybody was praying to achieve, is to enter that promised land. But what value is it for anybody to go into the promised land without the promiser? It is of no use. The question we are asking today is this. Each time all the churches that congregate, if we have to count, in Nigeria, let me go there because we may not be able to use that Canada statistics. There is no street in Nigeria where there is no church. If every church carries the presence of God, where does evil hide? So we value movement more than meaning. Churches often seek growth. We seek expansion. We seek event without evaluating the spiritual depth. When the church's focus is on growth, expansion, we want to have 10 branches. We want to have 15 branches. We want to tour around the whole world. And yet we are not able to do any transformation. We are only performing without His presence. Event will come and go. Take statistics. How many lives were transformed? At the end of every program, take statistics. How far did we move from the former level and what level are we in now? Let me tell you something. When people go to a club listen to this. When people go to club frequently, they learn the language of the club. They learn how to dance. They learn sometimes how to smoke. They become, the life of club become part and parcel of them. But if we have someone in the church, year after year, character remain the same, it is only a performance without the presence. Number 2, angel cannot replace God. Angels cannot replace God. God promised Moses and said, listen, I will send an angel to go. God offered to send an angel instead. But what does this mean? An angel stands for talent. An angel stands as money. An angel stands as charisma. An angel stands as light. But in all of this, no God. Angel cannot replace God. Angel cannot replace God. Angel can come in forms of, personalities. Somebody can come. We were lucky one day, somebody come into our church. I think he preached the very, very charismatic message, only for us to discover at the end of the day, he was a 419. Thank God for the spirit of discernment. We would have been doomed. But today, majority of us are settling for what? Angelic help, rather than God himself. The presence supersedes performance. And so Moses says, no, angel cannot take your place. We need you. We need you. The third point, the third blind spot is when success is measured by attendance and not its glory. When we measure success by attendance, we miss the mark. When we measure success by attendance, we miss the mark. Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in their midst. Paul and Silas prayed, and the Holy Spirit came down. We must not be 1 million. We must not be 5 million before God can come down. Who is a well-to-do pastor today in Nigeria? They are measured by attendance. They are measured by congregation. They are mentioned by, the crowd they pull. This is a blind spot. God told Moses, go. So which means if Moses was blindfolded, Moses would have a mark on a journey, maybe for 1 day, 3 days, 5 weeks, 1 month, maybe 1 year without the presence of God. This is heartbreaking. Just to move in without God. It can happen to a nation. It can happen to a family. It can happen to an individual. We just move in without God being involved. Without God being involved. Today, church often say, as long as people are coming, we are fine. As long as people are showing up, we don't need any changes. We don't need to do anything different. We don't need to offend people. We don't need to be too harsh in our messages. We don't need to be too harsh in addressing issues that need to be addressed. We don't need to do anything. Just let them be. Let them be. And then they will be. And by the special grace of God, they come to a point where they are teaching others. What they learn is what they will teach. What they hear is what they will teach. What they have is what they will give. They cannot give what they don't have. So when our measuring standard is attendance standard, not transformation standard, we have a problem. We have a problem. Number 4, programs without intercession. It's our yearly event. We do it every year. It is our summer program. It is our winter program. It is our end of year program. It is our new year program. There must be intercession, please. It must follow by intercession. It must follow by serious prayer. It must follow by divine consultation. It is not rubber stamp. It is not written in stone. Programs without intercession. In Exodus chapter 33, verse 7 to 11, you will find it there. Most churches today run events without prayer meetings. Everybody know we do this every year. Let's go ahead. But Moses withdrew and said, no, even if this has been our cry, our need, we want to go to the promised land, we are okay staying another decade, another year, another 20 years, 40 years here until you are okay to go with us. We would not just rush to go do it. We will not just rush to go into the program. We must be, at a point of agreement where your presence will go with us. Programs that, without intercession is a blind spot. It's a blind spot. The 5th blind spot is strategy, but lack less surrender, kind of. Strategy without surrender. Strategy is probably what we do this year. We want to change it next year. We want to do it this year in a different way, with a different man of God, with a different person. But when we change strategy, is there any surrender? Is there any harvest that comes in? This is like the second point we talked about. Moses wasn't looking for plan. He was seeking a person. The plan is how to go. Angel will go. The Jebusite will be driven away. These are strategies. But no, Moses said, God, we need you. If you don't go, we will not go. We need you. You can't be in a church Sunday after Sunday, and then you harbor bitterness in your heart. You say that is your way of life. Until I die, I will not let it go. So those performances in the church, where did it fall on? And to make matters worse, you are even the most excited person, the one who speak in tongues when messages were going on, when prayer were going on. You were the loudest. But your heart refuses to change. Performance over his presence. Churches often have vision statement without visitation from God. When we have vision statement and God did not visit us like he did to Moses, we must not move an inch. We remain where we are. Number 6, leadership without brokenness. Leadership without brokenness. When people are not going the right way, when things are not going the right way, when you knew morality has overtaken the church, and yet as a leader, you are not broken. As a member, you are not broken. Daniel went into fasting and began to plead on behalf of his nation. Something is wrong. Many leaders today are more focused on platform than presence. We focus on the platform, not the presence of God. So Moses said, God, no, I will not go. Moses was broken. Moses cried out and said, God, don't send us if you don't go with us. Can anybody say, God, if this blessing is not coming from you, I don't need it. If this healing is not coming from you, I don't need it. If this promotion is not coming from you, I don't need it. If this husband is not coming from you, I don't need it. Mm-hmm. Breakthrough is our song. Anyhow, anyway, anywhere, breakthrough. But here is Moses. God gave him a blank check. Go. I will send you escort. Mopo. I will send you mobile police. All the enemies in the road. No Boko Haram will lay you. But yet Moses said, no, God, I will not go. But today, what do we see? Men of God are paraded by armies. Where is the presence of God? Where is his presence? Many of us today depend on the handkerchief sent to us from home. Many of us still pay homage to Baba in the village. But we dance, we sing. Let your glory come. Let your glory fall. Number 7. Desensitized to God's absence. We must not be desensitized to God's absence. In other words, we should not be okay when God is not there. Israel was okay with going to the promised land without God, but it was a fearful thing for Moses. Israel was okay, but Moses said, no, it's a taboo. And in today, service can happen week after week without God showing up, and nobody will even notice it. That today's service, so God did not show up. This thing happened when during the days of Eli, the glory of God departed. The only time they knew the glory was departed was when they were defeated in battle. But that was not the day the glory of God left. Samson was at the lap of Delilah. And then he said, no, the Philistines are upon you. And Samson get up. He tended to shake himself as he always do. He didn't know God has left him. Those are the 7 points of the blind spot. Let us quickly look at how do we know we are performing without his presence? How do we know I am teaching without his presence? How do we know that church is running without the presence of God? Please, very quickly, when there is no transformation, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying his power. When we have a form of godliness, but we don't have the power, or we deny the power, we are performing without his presence. People come to church and leave unchanged. Sometimes when you are counseling people, you pick and choose words. Revelation cannot be released as it is given, though that is part of ethics. But yet, there are some people who will receive it, and then that will make them to stop the church. So no transformation is a sign we are moving without God. When we are not convicted of sin, number two, no conviction of sin. John chapter 16, verse 8. The Holy Spirit will convict the world of sin. The Holy Spirit will convict the world of sin. And when we dance upon an anointed song, like No Going Back, and we are still in sin, we are moving without God. Service become a motivational speech. When service become a motivational speech or setting, gathering, or forum, we are just moving without God. Number three, when an atmosphere of a church is manufactured rather than anointed. Let me take that again. When an atmosphere of a church is manufactured and not anointed. When an atmosphere is anointed, Solomon was not able to stand the glory of God in the temple. Moses could not look at the face of God. When an atmosphere is manufactured in a way that is an emotional setting, we miss the presence of God. We create emotion, but God isn't moved by heart. When emotions are created, we are not moved. God cannot, hasn't moved the heart. He hasn't touched any heart. People can scream and shout, but no one has repented of their sin. Number four, when prayers are just a form, not a furnace. In other words, when prayer becomes a stereotype, it's a signal that we are not, or we are missing the presence of God. Isaiah 29 verse 13 says, these people draw near me with their mouth, but their hearts are far from me. Isaiah 29 verse 13, these people draw near me with their mouths, but their hearts are far from me. Prayer times, when prayer times are brief, cold, or strict, we know what we are going to pray about today. We know how Pastor Alex lead prayer. The step by step, unchanged. We can do something different. When we often get offended when messages are too long. What of praises? When praises go on and on and on and on, I don't see people being offended. But when message take longer than, people will carry their bag and leave. Presence fuels you. Performance drains you. If you didn't take anything home today, just take this. The presence, God's presence empowers you, but performance drains you. That is under leaders born out instead of burning with God. Exodus 3 verse 2. Exodus 3 verse 2. The bush burned but was not consumed. Exodus 3 verse 2. Number 5, that is, leaders burns out instead of burning with God. When you have the presence of God, you are empowered. But when you don't have the presence of God, you are drained. That is why you see some people in ministry 5 years ago, today they are not in the ministry. 5 years ago, they said, God called, God sent me. And today, they are drained. They have retrieved. Number 6, when we compromise, when carnality and are compromised and not normalized, when carnality are compromised instead of normalized, without presence, church embrace flesh. Without his presence, we embrace flesh. In other words, when we begin to compromise certain issues, or when certain way of life now become normalized, in other words, we compromise, then it is a signal that the presence of God is not there. It is a signal that the presence of God is not there. Number 7, we keep going without noticing he is gone. It is dangerous. When you keep driving without knowing that you don't have brake, when you keep driving, you don't know whether the gas in your car, how far the gas in your car can go. It is restlessness. It is a time of uncertainty. In 1 Samuel chapter 4, verse 21, the glory has departed from Israel. Like Eli's house, we continue routine after God has left the building. These 7 points shows us what it takes, or when we should notice that the presence of God is not there. It is the point a church can, figure out. Family can do it. Individual, a nation can as well do it. If a family has been going to a church and yet they fight every single day, there is hatred in the family, one person is not greeting the other, they are only carrying out performance without the presence of God. Let us look at 7 revelations from Exodus 33, verse 15, very quickly. 7 revelations. I may not finish the 7, but I will give what I think will hit us. Number 1, God's presence is not automatic. You can, the technology has gone to that point where a car that is parked outside can be started. You start it. You have the remote starter. But many years ago, when there were known that you have to go outside and start the car, God is not like that. His presence is not automatic. We cannot confidently say yes every time he's there. It is our right. He said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, I am there in their midst. Which 2? Which 3? 2 righteous. That is the same thing Abraham asked God. If you find 50 righteous people, not just 50 people, will you destroy it? He says no. So when we are saying 2 or 3, it's not just 2 people. It is 2 righteous people. Paul says the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. In before the years runs out, I will do a teaching on the component of prayer. The component of prayer. So the first point is God's presence is not automatic. God was willing to withdraw his presence and still let them move. When I read this, I burst into tears. A powerful God, the omnipresence, omnipotent, omniscience, the creator of the heaven and earth, coming so humble. He doesn't want struggle. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to take away our will from us. Willingly release the people. But listen, I won't go with you. It's not fight. It's not a struggle. I won't go with you. But we men that are, kind of mortal man, we carry, force. We forcefully exercise ourselves. We'll impose ourselves, our will. It must be my way or nothing else. Look at God. God said, go, but I won't come with you. So the presence of God is not automatic. This shows that success without God is possible. Come on. Success without God is possible, but it is dangerous. Success without God is possible. And that is why he said, go. I will drive out the enemies on the way. I will send an angel to go with you, but I will not come with you. Success without God is possible. Number 2, you can inherit the promise and still miss the person. What shall he gain? What shall he profit a man if he gain the whole world and loses his soul? So a man can gain the whole world and yet don't have God. You can gain the promised land. You can inherit the promised land, but God is not there. Who owns the promised land? Who owns it? It is God. So it is better for us to have God rather than the promised land. The songwriter says, take the whole world and give me Jesus. Do we really mean it? Do we really mean it? Some people would rather have blessing rather than God's actual presence. Some people would rather have wealth, money, fame, rather than the presence of God. Some of these experiment bloggers, or what do you call them, some went on the street sometime and said, Bible and money, which one will you choose? And many people say, well, give me money. And some others said, I have Bible at home. But if you don't have at all, what will you choose between these two? That is how much intimacy we have with God. You can inherit the promised land and yet miss God. Number 3, leadership requires intimacy, not just authority. Intimacy. Exodus 33 verse 11, Moses consistently meet with God face to face. True leadership comes from the secret place, not the spotlight. I told you this passage does not just address congregation, does not just address church, it addresses nation, it addresses family, it addresses individual. This is where Moses began to talk to God, not for his benefit, for the congregation. He didn't say, okay, God, let's go. At a time when God even said, well, I want to strike all of them and make you a mighty nation. Moses said, no. Instead, take me out rather than the people. Number 4, God's presence is our distinction. I love this one. The presence of God is our distinction. What distinguishes us is not how well we sing, how well we preach, how well we teach, how well we dance. What distinguishes us, our distinction, is the presence of God. The man that carried the presence of God lacks nothing. David says in Psalm 23, said, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. How can he eat in the presence of his enemy if God is not there with him? Impossible. Exodus 33, verse 16 says, what else would distinguish me and your people from all the other people in the earth, if not your presence? I don't need to tell people I'm a Christian. The presence of God should speak for me. I'm a Christian. That is what distinguishes the presence of God. It is not what we put on. It is not, the shoe in our leg or the car we drive. It is the presence of God. When we miss the presence of God, we are like every other person. I can call myself pastor. I'm like every other person if I lack the presence of God. Number 5, quickly, God honors hunger. He honors hunger. When we express hunger in our heart, God honors it high above every other thing. Moses was hungry for God. He was hungry for the presence of God. God responded to Moses by saying, my presence will go with you, because Moses stood his ground. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. When you have God, you have the whole earth and everything that is in it. Lastly, God desires relationship, not just religious movement. He desires relationship. We can see that in Exodus 33, verse 7, where God responded to him, to Moses. Exodus 33, verse 7, God told Moses, and Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that everyone which sought the Lord went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. This is relationship. He built a tabernacle, a tent, and people were going in there to have relationship, to discuss, to talk to God. I am impressed what the women is doing. When I saw the people leading, people I would never imagine would be able to speak, but when they are praying in the women group, you are amazed. This is a symbol of what? Presence, not just performance. It's a symbol, it's a signal of presence, not just performance. And this is what God wants us to do. God wants us to seek his presence. The songwriter says, as the deer panted after water, so my soul panted after thee. I want to stop. If you have any questions tonight on this topic, is presence supersede performance? Please go ahead and ask. God bless you.